We've gone from a company, we crossed the billion-dollar GAAP revenue market. There is no reason this company should not be 20 times bigger. We both overestimate and underestimate ourselves in private, but the version of Palantir I see is that when we were in Palantir in 2008, we had a half a product held together by people who were willing to live in a skiff. And that product now powers most of the intel services in Europe and stops terror attacks that otherwise would have turned Europe into a different kind of Europe where walking and that would be very, very far outside the norm on the right side. So we fundamentally changed the history of America and Europe by stopping terror attacks. Every single vaccine in this country is distributed in our software. We're bad at sales, but we're great at product. Most people who build products don't do sales. So you need to make sure it's about the product. And the second thing, which has nothing, it's not my interest, is just, and this is, by the way, plagues the Western world. The Communist Party of France has in their manifesto, if they win, that they'll ban Palantir, which I'm proud of. And I'm progressive. But in any case, it's one of my great pieces of pride. I hope. But in any case, we play a big role in Europe in anti-terror. Then you get this thing where nobody can, and of course there are these enormous, where no one can imagine they're not number one. And that should be our standard. We should be so dominant that nobody can even imagine we're not number one. We're the only company that DPO'd with people of its own leadership, people at Palantir, especially new people or people who are younger, which is many people at Palantir, assume that in a normal company, the people run the company, own the company, and are interested in the company working long term. This is mostly not the case. We were able to get into the public markets without selling our souls to the vicious, vacuous, and otherwise idiotic forces of banking. You do have a responsibility to articulate what is it you're doing and why are you doing something with an adversary you're not doing with the U.S. government. That is your responsibility to this country. And the thing that I'm most proud of and keeps me most motivated is, Palantir's culture, of course, shifts and changes, but this company is not actually run by any one individual. It's run by our culture, which still attracts among the best people and keeps among the best people in the world. Honestly, for many of us, because we're smart enough and wise enough to know the alternatives suck. But so it's not maybe that we're as good as we want to be, but the alternatives luckily really suck. We built many products that we're aware of, Guy and others, that other people don't know exist, but actually power a lot of the efforts you see in the news. And one of the most important things we learned about helping countries was that the product that we had really built for commercial usage was exceedingly helpful in emancipating, freeing, unencumbering the data that was locked in silos and was very hard for governments to get access to in real time and made it difficult to understand their total resources, their resource allocation, and rebuild supply chains in a timely manner. We're very grateful. We had the honor to, and I still have the honor of working with countries and supplying Foundry to them, and are exceedingly proud of the fact that the countries we've helped are doing disproportionately, significantly better, and the countries of the world, especially most notably the USA and England, that are distributing the vaccine effectively are heavy users of the Palantir.
The COVID-19 pandemic and SolarWinds attack exposed critical vulnerabilities in U.S. supply chains, jeopardizing government information and assets. Effective risk management requires a dynamic, end-to-end picture of the supply chain. Government agencies must integrate thousands of siloed data sources spread across classification levels. Palantir Foundry unifies this fractured landscape to create a complete supply chain picture, leveraging AI to surface emerging risks. Decision makers need visibility into their supply chain's vulnerabilities and points of exposure. Foundry integrates an institution's classified and unclassified information, such as open source or commercial data, into a live 360-degree view of risk. This enables users to identify and action vulnerabilities before they are exploited. With supply chains stretching across continents and cyberspace, customizable alerts, complete with AI-generated risk scores and summaries, help users prioritize the most imminent threats. Foundry's AI-agnostic platform enables institutions to deploy best-in-class risk models to surface threats rapidly. Analysts can inspect a digital twin of the supply chain to identify compromised assets and escalate alerts to collaborators to take action before issues compound. Supply chains are among the most complex, consequential systems on Earth. Foundry helps protect government institutions against catastrophic attacks by integrating diverse, siloed data into a collaborative, AI-enabled environment for rapid threat mitigation. With Palantir Foundry, the work of securing tomorrow begins today.
That's what you have to do to get to be disruptive. And you know, we should never forget, we are maximalist outsiders. Nobody is ever going to buy our product. No one's going to buy our shares. No one's going to actually show up and stick up for us unless we are unique, differentiated, and the best. You know, the mission was why we started the company. And it is really crucial. But I would say like watching Palantirians suffer through a deployment, for me, the most compelling is the work we've done. Example of this is the work we've done in COVID, especially in the US and Britain. Just like, it's so motivating. We launched Foundry, which is definitely, inarguably, the most successful product in the world in what we do. By the way, in any other company, it'd be 400 products with 1,000 salespeople on each one. Normal software companies produce once. So normal investors look at Palantir and they see something, okay, no one can do this 5 times. And they're going to wake up to a world that we play a very, very big role in. So if you're going to buy like some weak product that barely works that you install, you can't then say, but what happens when the product is 50 times more complex than it is now? And the complexity that we are up against in the world is a complexity that Palantir embraces. This is why we attack and structures. This is why we go after the most talented people. This is why we built the culture to make sure we keep those people, because we're presupposing a radical increase in complexity, and everyone else is presupposing a Disney fairy tale that I don't think anyone ever even believes anymore. But since it's too dangerous to think of the world the way it is, people run and hide and service their institutions in ways that will not work. And the COVID pandemic is just the first of many like waves we're going to see. And Palantir was built for this. And it would be an exaggeration to say the world rests on our shoulders. And it's, by the way, but it is scary to think how much of the world rests on our shoulders. We're going to go to the industries in America especially, but also globally, that are employing the most number of people and offer to emancipate, unchain, unfetter, and give them their data back for free, to allow these industries to make decisions that are in the best interest of their clients, their employees, and their countries. And of course, we really hope that they will see that Palantir is also, in our view, the very best option for managing the data after we emancipate the data. One of the things that we forget, because it's so obvious to us, to the rest of the world, but often not to us, is in software, America is the #1 nation in the world, bar none. There is really no number 2. Number 2 is Israel, because there has to be a number 2. But we are #1. And I spent a lot of my life abroad. I speak German, wrote my dissertation in German, and I get people baffled all over the world asking me, how can it be that America is so much better at this than we are? Take Germany, has a lot of smart people, but the delta between what America delivers in software and what everyone else delivers is very wide.
But this is much more about really kickstarting and accelerating transformation that will have to occur in a crucial time where the quality of life of the employees of large industry may come down to the ability of an industry to re-envision itself, and it being hampered in doing this by very complicated contractual and ontological relationships with their own data. Something that we obviously have pushed back against in the consumer internet space, where you have a very similar thing where we somehow don't own our own data. This should not happen to enterprises. And it's crucial in this phase where our countries depend upon industry really coming online for our health and wealth. And so this is what we're going to work on in the next couple months until the end of the year. That combined with the fact that our work in especially commercial and government in the US of A is just dramatically increasing, should keep us at Palantir very close to what we like to do most, which is work on our company and work on helping institutions that help the countries we work in. Thank you.